The Worst Podcast Ever can also be listened to on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many more. Links in the description below.
So much about
What would you say if I turned into all the things you love to hate? And on my way comes crashing through the rotten beams and window panes.
Hey everybody, what is going on? And we are back. It is episode 40, and this is the worst podcast ever. Hey everybody, what's going on? I am your host, as always, Dan Brosman. Guys, what's going on? How y'all doing? I sounded country there for a second. How y'all doing? I like to drop a y'all in there every once in a while. Guys, I am doing wonderful. Hey, I am getting ready in a couple days. I'm going to go to Milwaukee. The Milwaukee Midwest Gaming Classic is coming up. It's a big convention. It's pretty big. It's probably the biggest one in this part of the country. And from what I understand, probably pretty close to the, on par with what you have out in Portland, which is saying quite a bit. Even though I've never been there, the Portland before, but I hear that it's pretty close. And so this weekend, this is dropping. You'll be listening to this on Thursday. This is dropping on a Thursday, and tomorrow is when I leave. The actual convention itself is going to be on Saturday, Sunday, which is April 1st and 2nd. On March 31st, they do have stuff going on. They have like little seminars where they, it's all that technical stuff, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the day they have it. And then in the evening, I want to say, you also have it to where if you buy tickets for Friday night, you can get in to do like the arcade, but like the vendor floor won't be open. That's not open until Saturday morning. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to going out there. This is my fourth time going, and last year went with my son. It was so much fun. Last year, boy, they really upped their game last year. It was, when I got there, I was like, holy cow. I'm like, look at this place. They put the vendor hall in, like, which I believe is on the first floor, the main hall at the convention center there in Milwaukee, and then upstairs was the arcade. And I don't know if that's just how it fell because of other things that was going on in the convention center, or that's just what they wanted to get. But it's so much fun, and I love going, and I get to see some people that I don't normally get to see throughout the year as far as in person, and that's Chris Pico, the old ass gamer, Captain Algebra, and the guys from Gaming Off the Grid, Wes, Robert, and I think who else is going? Oh, I think another guy, and I don't keep in as much contact with him, but I want to say Gary from Rock Solid Productions is going to be there. I'm pretty sure I've seen him say something online about that, even though I haven't talked to him for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, and Brian Newland is one of the guys he's not on their channel with the Gaming Off the Grid guys, but he's one of their friends. Really great guy. And he's probably going to be there with them. I would think. I don't know that for sure. Or maybe not. I don't know. But, and along with a bunch of other YouTubers, some of them I know, some of them I don't know, but I'm always looking forward to meeting new people that I've never met before, and man, bitches buying some games, right? We're going to buy some games. We're going to find some stuff. We're going to blow a whole bunch of money, but not let the wife know, What did you get? Oh, I didn't get all that much. They didn't really have anything that I liked, which, okay. Got to drink a little coffee here, guys. little FYI. I've already recorded. Well, rather, I already talked and did this podcast. Came to the end only to realize I hadn't recorded it, and I haven't done this in a while. Have not gotten to the end of a podcast. I've done about 10, 15 minutes before, and then looked down and realized, been like, oh, hey, the record button's not going. Never made it through a full podcast episode before. So if my voice is a little hoarse right now, it's because this is the second go round. My God, I don't know, man. It's what happens when I don't take my meds. Anyway, so I mentioned that I know the guys from Gaming Off the Grid. No big deal, just a little bit of name drop. I know people. And they did a video here lately. Now I don't see every single video from everybody that I know. There's so much content that I watch, especially on YouTube, that unfortunately a lot of videos fall through the cracks, and I sometimes go back and try to catch up, but whatever. But a video did catch my eye that they did the other day, and it's something that we've kind of gone over here on the podcast in one way or another. And and some people may be rolling their eyes when I start talking about this, because we've already talked about this, but it's something that I really think more than anything, more than any other time, is very important that we talk about, where our community, the gaming industry, is going. And so what they were talking about is that their stores, like a Walmart, Target, Best Buy, in their area, their GameStops, had very, very little stock of physical games. And they actually had clips in their videos of them at the store and showed the shelves. And they were asking, ultimately, hey guys, is this something that is just indicative of what's going on here in the Midwest where they live? Or is it indicative of like everywhere? And why is this? Why are there so many empty spots here? Why are the shelves so empty, or there's so little as far as physical media? Is this an indictment of like where physical media is going relative to, digital coming along? And, I didn't really know how to comment to that. So I really wanted to do like a reaction to this video, like on this episode, because it feels like I could cover it more of how I feel. Now, first of all, to answer the question of like, is that indicative of other places? I couldn't really tell you, because here I live in just south of Chicago. Okay, around the I-80 corridor here. They live out in Iowa, around the I-80 corridor, I believe. Okay, so I think we're like 4 hours apart, very much both in the Midwest. So I wouldn't really call where we are different parts of the country. As far as like what I see here in the different stores or whatever, I wouldn't say it's to the degree that they were showing in their video from what I've seen here, but it's not too far off. And I would be lying if I say when I go into these stores, Walmart or Best Buy or Target or, GameStop, and I'm looking and I'm going, this is, where are the games? There's not a lot of games here. Because, we go into Walmart for a plethora of things. And, I always stop by to see, what do they got here? What games do they have? And I'm always like, damn, there's not really that much, and it's look, we've covered this before, like, physical media versus, the digital media and where I've been. And, I've been doing this podcast for about 2.5 years. I've done my YouTube channel for about 3 years now. And while I still have the same opinion, ultimately, you know, what's going on and me liking or disliking digital. My thoughts on where it's going and how fast we are getting there is kind of changed, you know. And you know, a big part of their video was like going forward is like, hey, you know, is this where we're going? You know, is physical media pretty much on the outs? And I would say yes, it's very much on the outs. In any form of entertainment that comes through a TV or through, you know, a stereo, yes, a computer, whatever it is. I mean, the laptop that I have right here, it does not have an optical drive. It doesn't have a CD or a DVD player. It doesn't, which is sometimes really odd for me. But this is, I think, where we're going. And, you know, I think it's important that we talk about this, because along with this is where we stand on stuff that we consume, that we buy, that we purchase with our own money, and what we consider ownership of that item. Or, you know, in the universe, what do you consider what you just bought? Did you consider you bought that game? Do you consider that you bought that movie or that music, or did you rent it? And the hard part with gaming is, and we're going to get to this here in a little bit too more, is, you know, when you talk about, you know, maybe music, it's a lot easier to, you know, say that you actually own that because the files are so small, you can back them up on the computer. You know, you bought this, it's on my computer. Old games that you emulate, you know, Nintendo games, Sega Genesis games, they're all smaller. You can back those all up on your computer. You own those games. These newer games are really, really large. And, you know, you're not backing them up on your on anything, because it takes up an awful lot of memory, a lot of space on your computer. So where to begin here? Because there's so much different things to talk about with what's going on relative to this. First of all, the way I have changed is, as far as my view on this, is it's coming a lot faster. Okay. And in a way, the digital only era is pretty much here, you know, and I say that, and a lot of this, I'm not even considering Nintendo a part of this conversation quite yet. I'm thinking more of the Sony PlayStation, the Microsoft Xbox, because those are the ones that have like the bigger games here. And not that Nintendo doesn't, but Nintendo still, I don't know, I always consider Nintendo kind of an outlier when it comes to the three major, you know, video game providers and hardware providers. That being said, you know, it's almost here already. And I would be shocked if in the next generation of systems that come out after the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, I would be absolutely shocked if they included physical media on any sort of their hardware, on any version of their hardware. I think the next generation is going to be absolutely 100% digital. And why do they do this? You know, because why would you as a company do this? And it's very simple. And I don't have any inside information or anything like that, but it's the same reason that you know, any company does anything. It's for money. If they are able to produce the game and release it without having to go through the costs of manufacturing and shipping a physical copy, then that's what they're going to do. Okay? I mean, I get it. I 100% get it. And if I was in that, if I wasn't looking at it from a gamer's point of view, as a consumer point of view, and just purely as a person, businessman in one of these companies, that makes sense 100%. Now, let's come back over to the consumer part to where I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like it. I really, really don't like it. As much as I do get it, I don't like it. Because I don't think that we own that at all. And Wes was saying, this is kind of like just a long-term rental. That's exactly what it is, Wes. Well done. That's 100%. You are 100% right. Because these games are so huge, you can't back them up. I mean, not all of them. I don't even know how you would begin to do that. I gotta believe that it wouldn't be cost prohibitive. But you download these games, and it takes up so much space, and then that space fills up relatively quickly with the size of these games. And then what do? You either gotta take a game off, so now delete it, and where did that game go? Well, you gotta go and re-download it, not rebuy it, not at this point. You have to re-download that game. Do you own this game? What happens when that store goes away and you can't download that game? You paid for that game. You supposedly own that game. And before I get somebody in the comment section say, well, you don't really own that game. You're just like paying for a license. You don't own it. Shut up. Shut up. I always get somebody that's like, well, you don't own the game technically. You don't own the intellectual property that is the game. Yes, I get that. But I know what you're saying, but you also know what I'm saying, so shut up. Okay? Because I always get somebody that says, well, you don't own that game. I own a copy of that game. I own the physical copy of that game. You know what I'm talking about. I own a copy of the game that says I have the ability to play this game whenever the heck I want. And I'm not, other than the fact of this cart being damaged or me losing it, I am going to be able to play this. I have control over this. Where now with digital, you don't have any control over it. If they one day decide to no, we're going to take all this down, and now what? What are you going to do? If you don't have it saved on your system, then too bad. So sad. But you know what? Our next system coming out, you can download it on there and you can play it on there, but you got to pay for it. And if you don't think that's coming, it's already here. They do this all the time. And that's what really concerns me. And this is why I'm such a big supporter of, projects like what people do with emulators, with the RetroPie, and why I review on my channel. I love reviewing these little systems that emulate stuff because it's cool, because people enjoy watching those types of videos. But in the end, I want to keep up the interest in stuff like that. So, people that are smarter than me, that have the knowledge, can develop things different ways that make it easier for us to play these older games as it goes forward. Now, I know a lot of these games that I'm talking about are the, more of the classic machines, but we're going to need those people or people like them to handle these disc-based systems, these older systems, or these newer systems, as it were, today. Stuff like the Mister, which is a FPGA-based console / it's like the Raspberry Pi, but much, way better. And it does so many systems, and it plays so many, the catalogs, or the library of all the games that those systems play, just like the RetroPie does. But it does it much better as far as, accuracy goes. And that's the stuff that we need, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. When it comes to stuff like this, digital is only one of the big things that's going to fight against us over time to take away the games that we love. As far as having them here ready to play. Overall, I think the community is big enough now, I don't know why I just did that. Did it not? It's big enough now to, they're doing enough preservation to where these games aren't going to go away. I mean, perfect example. I think, was it the completionist who just spent all that money? I think it was him. Spent all that money downloading all the 3DS games and the Wii U games or whatever before that store just got done. Spent like $22,000 or something. Now, I'm not going to do that. I spent $22,000 on a bunch of video games. I'm going to be coming to stay with one of you guys because my wife's going to kick my ass out of this place. Lickety split. But going forward, we're going to need these guys that have the technical know-how to be able to work and say, hey, now this is, even though we have the game files, we have the actual games, this is how we are going to be able to play them now. How you are going to be able to keep them in your household and at will be able to play them. Now, is that kind of my wish list and my dreams? Absolutely. But there are a lot of people out there that can do it. And I hope that this reaches those people's ears and that eventually one day they will work on it. Because, that's, we got, like I was just going to say, we have other things besides this, the digital world, that's going to take these, that's going to put these games at risk of us not being able to play them anymore. Disc-based games, disc rot is a thing. We thought CDs were going to last forever. Turns out that's not the case. And so, we don't know how long Blu-rays are going to last. We don't know how long, DVDs are going to last, but we know that they do break down. And over time, eventually, that media will not be able to be played. How are you going to play these going forward? Well, you're going to have them in a digital file on your computer. And I have a lot of games. I have a lot of Sega Dreamcast because I took, I was buying games for the Sega Dreamcast, and outside of them being expensive, I'm just like, dude, I don't know that I want to spend this money on something that I don't know how long this is going to last. And that's why I took out the optical drive, and I put the GDEMU, the optical drive emulator, in there. I can play everything digitally. Now, in that case, that works out really well. But how are we going to do these newer games? How are we going to be able to keep them for us? Because right now, those games are just so big. And let's not kid ourselves. Even with the last generation, the PS4 and the Xbox One, you didn't have a lot of times the whole game on those discs. Even right now on these new systems, the disc that you have, that physical copy, has part of the game on there. And then it downloads the rest. Now, this is what I've heard. I mean, from the people that actually have much more knowledge about this stuff. But yeah, the whole game's not on there. You'll get a disc and it'll say it comes with the Xbox One version and the Series X. Well, guess what? The one version may all be on there, but the Series X, it's not all on there. And you got to download it. So, even though I still buy the physical disc, if I'm not hooked up online and I don't have, is the full game on there? Am I going to be able to put it in there and not have to download anything? From what I understand, no, you're going to need to download some more shit because you don't have the full game. So, in we've already run into that too in this generation of consoles. When you're talking about, you can only have so much on there, and then what do you got to do? You either got to erase a game or you got to get more memory. And then, the more memory is eventually going to run out. You only have a finite amount. And that's the thing that you're fighting here, is how much are you going to need? And can you get that amount? I mean, you can keep buying memory and memory and memory, and now you have it here. But it's going to be very much not cost prohibitive. if you know what I mean. Because I think what is it, the SATA memory cards or whatever, that the expansion cards, memory cards for the new Xbox Series X is what, 200 pop? And you're paying for two things there. Because a lot of people think that while you're paying for the size of the storage there, how much it could store, and that is true, but you're very much paying for the speed in which that card or that storage device can transfer the information at. Because you can go online and find all this other stuff that has huge amounts of storage, but in these game systems you got to have something that's able to get the information to the system fast. And going forward, I don't know where we're going to be. If we're going to be able to get the storage and the speeds that we need, the cost of that low enough to where we're going to be able to save these games and just have them here in our game rooms at our houses to where we can just put it in and play it whenever we want. I don't know, because I don't know if you've been checking lately, but of eggs are like $8 for 12. I can only imagine what these things are going to be. I can't even get eggs without taking out a loan. So I doubt that these extra storage slots and cards are going to be any less. I don't know. I mean, it's a reality that it's going to be more of a problem in our minds for like people in my generation, I think, and around my generation, because like the generation, like my kid, my son's generation, they're not going to know any better, because that's just going to be how it is, how it's always been, or how they've always known it to be. And it's just going to be that's just what it is now. So I only have a problem with the fact that I don't want to pay the same price for a digital game as, that you're going to pay for a physical copy. Because I'm sorry, you can take that and shove it up your culo. I do not understand. Well, I mean, I understand. They just want to make money. Those, don't kid yourself, people. Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft, they ain't there to do you any favors. And it is what it is. This is where we're going. Digital is where it's going. And, and it's funny because when I went to my first convention ever, Radical Reggie was there, and I went to a panel of his, and I asked him a question. I said, hey, going forward with, these games and digital being, more prevalent nowadays, and what are you going to do going forward, with, not really owning these games? And he said, there's thousands of games from all these older systems that I could play and that I'm never going to get around to playing. He's like, I'll just play those. And I was like, you know what? That's not a bad answer right there. So, yeah, it is what it is. This is where we're going. And, we could cry as much as we want about it. The people that aren't for it, which, I'm a collector of physical media. It is what it is. But, that's where we're going. And I would be shocked if the next generation of consoles is, not all digital. So, anyway. This next topic here, the next topic is... It's very much tied into what we just talked about as far as digital and physical. And surprise, surprise, GameStop's having problems. And everybody says, no way, not GameStop. Yeah, GameStop, they're having problems. Evidently they're not making the money that they thought they should be making, or that they think is good for them. And it's like, oh, okay. So the problem with what's going on with GameStop is that sales are down this year, or were down last year, 1.4% compared to what they were in 2021. Okay. And there's two things to that. Now, I know you're saying 1.4%. I mean, they still made money. Yes, that's true, but it is a big deal. When you start talking about billions of dollars, 1.4 becomes a big number really fast, okay? Yes, they're making money, but let's not forget that GameStop is a company that's on borrowed time. That what was done with their stocks over the last, I would say, 2 years has allowed them to remain afloat and operating right now. Now, I'm not going to explain everything that went down because it's been a while since all that stuff went on. I kind of understood it then. I'm never going to be able to repeat it now. So let me just say that. When you have a business that's a video game store selling physical copies of video games, selling hardware to play those video games, when you're that store and you go into, a pandemic to where the hardware for the new systems is very much inventory restricted, and the games are now being sold a lot more online as far as, like we just said, digitally, that's going to be a problem for you. Now, I will say that GameStop has tried to adapt, but they haven't done enough, clearly. And I think, let's face it, I think we all know, anybody that's in the know as far as in this community, gaming community, GameStop's on borrowed time here. Had they not had those people manipulate their stocks before, they would be done. They're not making money. They're not making nearly enough. And they were very much in the red from before. And they had way too many stores. This area that I'm in has so many GameStops. I can think of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can think of 8 off the top of my head that I could get in my car right now and drive to in about 20 minutes. 8. Okay, no, 7, because one of them they closed. And the one they closed was right next to was on a road in a strip mall right outside an actual mall that had one in the mall. So, it's kind of like, guys, did you really need those two that were like a quarter of a mile from each other? And the answer to that is, no, you didn't. And they closed the one that was outside the mall, which I think is funny because I think once that mall ends up closing, well, I was going to say once that mall ends up closing, they're going to wish that they had left that one outside, but I think GameStop's going to be gone before that mall goes. Anyway, so, GameStop too has not done itself any favors as far as keeping the interest of people to come in. I'm a gamer. I have a whole flipping game room down here. You know how often I go in the GameStop? Maybe like 4 times a year. Maybe 5, but that's very rarely. And a big part of that is because of the customer service you get there. The customer service that you get there in store and that you get online. And I would describe their customer service as it's complete shit. Now, I know that's kind of I'm generalizing. I'm painting with a very broad brush. But I got to tell you, I hate going in to GameStops. I hate dealing with the employees. And that's not all the employees' fault. That's the way they have these employees trying to sell you stuff. It always feels like they're kind of hovering over you. It always feels like I just want to go up and pay for a game. I don't need the protection plan. I don't need the whatever it is that they want you to sign up for that you pay for once a year that gives you discounts. I don't want any of that. And when I say no thank you, I don't need you to come back and be like, sure? Like, yeah, I'm fucking sure. I'm 100% sure. I just want to get a shirt made that I wear when I plan on going in there. It says, I don't want the protection plan, and fuck you with your pro plan or whatever it's called. Because it is so annoying. And so many of these people that work in these stores I have so many odd and uncomfortable interactions with these people. Look, I get it. I mean, I go to these conventions, whatever. We can be an odd group of people, us gamers. And some of us a little bit more than others, you know. And you guys know who I'm talking about. I mean, come on. Am I one of those people? I don't think I'm one of those people. I don't. But we all know. And, you know, they're the people. I don't need to go in and have you talk to me like I don't know anything about gaming and be condescending towards me. I'm in here to buy a damn game. Do you have this game? Do you know when this game's coming out? No, you don't? I'm just trying to be nice here. Okay? I don't need this back and forth that's odd and awkward and condescending. I know not all of the people that work at GameStops are like that. I've met a ton of really good people, but as a whole, I always, after about a minute of being in there, can't wait to get the fuck out. And I'm sorry with the swearing and everything here, but it just is what it is. And perfect example. So last month or whenever, I go down to one of them that's, east of here. And I just happened to be in that area, and I wanted to see, I just all of a sudden, I was like, I'm going to get a new Xbox. I'm going to get an Xbox Series X. Go in there. No, we don't have one. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, can you check one of your other stores and see if they have it? And nice enough went on there, and they're like, well, the one, up in, 2 towns up, was about 20 minutes away. They have one. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, normally I would try and go on and buy it online where you can buy it and that way you just go pick it up. Well, first of all, I will say GameStop's online stores suck. Trying to buy stuff, trying to order stuff. Do you have it? Is it available? I don't know, because you guys have the worst setup on this thing. The information on there is never right. Anywho, I get in my car and I call up there. I said, look, I know you guys have one. I'm going to be there in 20 minutes. I just have to pick up my son and I will be there in 20 minutes. Can you hold that for me? And it was the manager I talked to. And he says, no, we can't do that. I said, well, if I give you, he's like, you're going to have to go online and order it on there from our store and then just come pick it up. I said, I already tried doing that. It's saying that you don't have it. And he's like, oh, that's weird. I'm like, it's not weird. I didn't say this to him, but I'm thinking to myself, it's not weird. This is par from the course. And so then I say, if I give you my credit card number, can you hold it for me then? And he's like, no, we can't do that. I said, thanks for all your help. And I hung up. Went and picked my son. Luckily, when I got there, they had it. But when I went in there, I'm already half cocked. I'm already annoyed to the gills. And I'm like, dude, I only asked you to hold it for 20 minutes. It's not like I asked you to hold it for a whole damn week, son. And this is the stuff I'm talking about. I'm like, why is this a big deal? Why is this a big deal? And it's just a plethora of things that is going to be the reason why GameStop is going to go out of business. They're going out of business. They're in the process. After all this stuff happened, this is only temporary because nothing's changed with this business. They made less money this year than they did last year. Well, guess what? That's not going up because guess what? Physical media is going away, and they're going away. How do you fix it? I have no idea. I really don't. And it's too bad because, they were Funkoland, and then Funkoland was bought out by GameStop. And, we're not going to have any more game stores because there's going to be no need for them. And that's a real fucking bummer. I'm sorry about all the swearing, but it's a bummer, guys. It really is. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, it's where we're heading, like I said, with the digital stuff. And, I mean, I know they've tried other things and they've brought in other merchandise that you can buy, but no one wants to go into a game store and buy plushies or shirts or, whatever else. I mean, the only thing I could think of is, the only thing that could still be there would be game systems. But, you're not going to make your money off the game systems. You make it off the games. Because there's only so many systems you can sell. You can sell a lot more games than you can systems. So, it's unfortunate. One of these days, I think it's just gonna be over for those guys. And like I said, and we've talked about this in the past, but and it's funny too because what GameStop, a representative of GameStop, this is what they said. They said we depend on manufacturers and publishers to deliver video game hardware, software, and consumer electronics in sufficient quantities and meet customer demands. I mean, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. But, you also got to understand, too, it's like what happened with a lot of that hardware wasn't anybody's fault. It was just what came out of the pandemic. And, this digital thing was happening before the pandemic hit. And it's not going away. And that's a problem. So, at least for them it is. Digital is a problem for everybody. Screw that digital. As you guys may or may not know, I am a fan of Star Wars. Despite how I may come off about different Star Wars properties on this podcast. Okay? Maybe sometimes I'm not all that happy with what goes on with Star Wars, but to be fair, there's a lot of times that I am happy with what goes on. Sometimes. And there's one thing I'm really happy with that's going to come out, and it's at the end of this month, April 28th, the sequel, the follow-up to Star Wars Fallen Order on the new systems, and I want to say the last generation too. The Star Wars Jedi Survivor is coming out, and I am super excited about this thing. Now, Cal Kestis, great character. I love the whole storyline that they had going on, and I love it going forward. I really enjoy the part of Star Wars that shows what happened after, what's going on in the Star Wars universe after, like, the Republic fell, and now you're into, the beginnings of the Empire. I really enjoy that. I just really enjoy seeing how people survived, how things kind of switched over into to what we knew originally in the original trilogy as the Empire. It's really cool. I like that. What's not really cool is, let me back up here. So they have a trailer. I know everyone's like, here we go. I'm like, okay. Just let me complain here, okay? So they have a trailer and it looks fantastic. I love the way the trailer looks. It basically looks like the first game, just continued. Which there's nothing wrong with that because that first game was hella awesome. Okay, here's the thing. In one of the shots there, they have somebody that's using a lightsaber, and it has that lightsaber Kylo Ren crossguard. So can I just say this? Would you guys please just stop it with that? That is so dumb. It was dumb when he did it, and it's dumb now. Now, I know in the big scheme of things, that's not a big thing, obviously. And, I'm guessing that I'm hoping it's just going to be like an option when you're customizing your lightsaber. But it is so dumb. I was watching I was on YouTube the other day, and then I seen like the trailer pop up, and I'm like, "Ooh, let me watch it." And I'm like, "This looks so awesome!" And then I just noticed that they had like that lightsaber cross guard on there. You know where the lightsaber kind of comes out the sides too. And I'm like, "God, that's so dumb." And I'm like, and now they're writing it in. And, I know they're writing it into a lot of some Star Wars stuff. I know it was in Star Wars Rebels. When Ezra Miller picked up that one old lightsaber and it had the cross guard in. I'm like, that's so dumb. That's so dumb. I'm like, whoever designed that, you should have been fired right then and there. If I was your manager and you would have shown that to me, I'd have been like, you're fired. Get out of here. You don't know anything about Star Wars, mofo. Nah, I wouldn't have fired him. But I would have definitely demoted him. He would have been cleaning toilets. Like, you take this thing and stick a brush on the end of it, and you go clean the toilets there, mister. So, in conclusion, it is what it is. I'm really looking forward. April 28th, it's coming out. I'm going to be there with bells on, bells around my lightsaber, if you know what I mean. And I don't know what that means. I know what it means, but I don't know why I said it. But what I mean is I'm going to have the game, from the first get-go. So, I really enjoy doing the podcast, but sometimes, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go, I got to get my notes together for what I'm going to say. And sometimes I really struggle at what am I going to talk about? I don't want to keep going over the same things. And sometimes there's not a lot going on. There'll be lulls sometimes in like movies or the video gaming world and or stuff that I'm not into and I don't know about. So I don't really have that knowledge to talk about it or just the passion to talk about it. Because, I am a very passionate man when it comes to, the issues that I cover on this channel. Anyway, and so I know the pain that goes along with a slow news day. And a lot of what I read is on Kotaku, because I like Kotaku. They do a good job of covering a lot of stuff for the most part. And just before as I was finishing my notes up, just before I came to record, this headline came up, and I didn't really read too much of the article, but I just wanted to slide this in here as a quick something because the headline, it was awesome, and it just made me laugh. So this is the headline. This is from Kotaku, and it says, "Sadly, Kirby will not turn into a hot man if he swallows a hot man." So, it was definitely probably a slow news day for this guy, this author. I don't really know what there is to say about it, other than the fact that it made me laugh. Now, what I did read was, he was talking about, have you ever wondered, like, since Kirby, everything Kirby swallows, he either becomes that or he gains the abilities or the powers of that. So, what if he, swallow the drill or, this or that? And, I got to be honest with you, it's never crossed my mind, but God love people in the gaming community, that sit there and think of these things up. So yeah, I mean, I guess there's not really anything else to say about that other than the fact that I just thought it was really funny that this person actually wrote an article over that, and that was the headline. And because I was just scrolling through, and then I seen that, and I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, that's so stupid, but so funny. I'm like, okay, I'll read it. I mean, I shouldn't say stupid. It wasn't stupid. It was just funny. So yeah, I wish I should have wrote the author's name down. I didn't, but kudos to you. That was really funny, dude. So, there's been the start of since the last episode, there's been the start of some shows and the ending of some. The first is I mean, Pedro Pascal's in like 2 of these. So I guess the first one would be, The Last of Us, which just ended 3 weeks ago. And I got to tell you, my Sunday nights are lonely. Every Sunday night, it feels like I look at the wife. I'm like, I feel like we're supposed to be watching something here. I'm like, we need the second season now, and it's just weird that, that there's no more episodes. But, that being said, enjoyed the hell out of it. So enjoyed it. And, this is coming from somebody who's never played the game. And I am going to, I didn't realize that it was a PlayStation exclusive, which kind of sucks. But I do have a PlayStation 3. So when I go to Milwaukee this weekend, I am going to try and pick up an old school PlayStation 3 version of it. Obviously, it's not going to be the remastered version that came out later on, but that's okay. I really, really looking forward to playing it. But yeah, I mean, just great show. Everybody that I know that was familiar with the game, that had played it and then watched the show, all of them were very happy in what they've seen. And then supposedly, there's going to be 2 more seasons. They are going to split the second game into two separate seasons. So I guess there's enough in the second game to actually do that, from what I understand. Now, I've gotten mixed feelings on the second game from people. One of my cousins said he really thought they missed the ball with the second game, and then I've talked to other people that just loved it. So, it is what it is. I from what I understand, the second game doesn't really give a definite ending to the story arc or whatever, from what I heard. And from everything that we've heard, that I've seen, Naughty Dog who developed, the Last of Us games, has said that they are not going to do a third game, or it's not they don't plan on doing it anytime soon. So, and people are like, well, how are they going to do that? Then they're going to do, the second season, and then it's going to end the way it ends. I'm like, well, I got to either by then there's going to be the third, they're actually going to have made a third game. But if they haven't, I have a feeling that HBO will take creative license and figure, kind of change it at the end there to where it does come to some sort of this is the end. This is as far as it can go. I would think. That's what I think. I mean, that's what I would do. And, I'm always right. My wife doesn't think so, but, guys, the dude's always right? Ladies, you're welcome for us always being right. And my numbers of subscribers just dropped by half. That's not true. I don't think half of the people on my channel subscription are women. It's probably one woman and, 99.99999% male, which is fine. It's a very, very exclusive membership. So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Did a really good job with that first one. I really enjoyed everything. Boy, that pastor that was gonna cut her up and they were gonna eat her there at the end. I was like, dude, that was my favorite episode, because that I didn't know. Well, no, that wasn't my favorite episode. The Nick Offerman one was by far my favorite episode. Man, I was just in shambles at the end of that, because that was so good. Such a great episode. But then, my next one would be the one where I can't remember what the pastor's name was. And boy, that went dark fast. Because I kept thinking that there's something going on here. You knew at the beginning that there was something going on. And man, they were eating their dad. Ugh. What? So, yeah. Anyway, looking forward to the next seasons of that. And then, got another Pedro Pascal show. The Mandalorian season 3 has started. It's been going on for a little bit now. I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying this third season. I loved the first season. It was probably the one thing that brought me back in the Star Wars universe after those 3 misfire movies, the trilogies, especially the last 2. Really had me hanging on a thread with my fandom with Star Wars. If I haven't mentioned it before, I may have mentioned it. But The Mandalorian was really what brought me back in. Really enjoyed the second season. And the third season's okay. There is a lot of things and a lot of situations that I'm really enjoying. And then it feels very the discontinuity on it, or how do I say it? Yeah, it's very, the storyline and where we're going is very disconnected, I should say. I don't have a feeling of where we're going. I just feel like it's all over the place. Because they got so many different places that they're going. They're talking, what are the Mandalores doing? What's Din Djarin doing? What's Bo-Katan doing? What are they doing on? I can never remember the main planet there where he went to originally, where Carl Weathers is still at. That now it's a thriving town. What's going on there? What's going on with the First Order here? Because or the Remnant? Because he kind of getting an idea of like what's going on there, because they kind of did a side story of like, the people that used to be in the Empire, but they might still be, and there's something going on with that. And it's like, and then what's going on with the New Republic? And it's like, I think they needed to kind of streamline it down a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I'm still interested as all hell to see where this is going, but I think a lot of it, I think they did a little bit too much. I think they lost their focus, is the best way to... they lost their focus. I still enjoy a lot of the good things. I love seeing Din Djarin going back to Mandalore, bathing in the waters to redeem himself. Even though I thought, it was okay. It just felt like a little bit of a side quest. Or it just felt like it took a long time to get there. I think what really slowed it down was like the first 2 episodes. This felt like we need to get going, because I think there's only 8 or 9 episodes here, and it's like we need to get going here. But that being said, I am enjoying it. I do look forward every Wednesday. Now the only thing I will say is that I guess that the viewership is down, and it's down quite a bit from where it was from the last season, which concerns me, because originally from what I heard was the third season was going to be the last season. And then right before the third season dropped, I found out that they'd already written a 4th season, and I was like, hell yeah. And now I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried that they're going to take a look at the viewership of season 3 if it doesn't turn around here. And they're going to be like, no season 4. And I'm going to be like, no. So, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how these, I think are we 5 episodes in? 4 or 5? We're just going to have to wait and see like where this goes. And, just hopefully we'll be able to, dude, I love Mando. That's the next thing I want. I want Mando armor. And I'm really thinking about trying to build it myself. I can't even say it without laughing. If I do, will I do a video on it? Not me building it, because that's going to be a lot of trial and error, brother. So anyway, outside of that Star Wars, you have the Bad Batch. And now I know there's a lot of people that don't really care for the Bad Batch. I love the Bad Batch. I'm a huge fan of the Clone Wars. I love the Bad Batch. Again, that whole era, that whole time where it's right after the fall of the Republic, turns into the Empire. what's going on with there. I love seeing, what's going on with the clones and how that's all coming about, and like this normal people and how the Empire kind of comes down on all of them. And it's just very interesting. And I love the characters. I really, really love the characters and how invested I have become of these guys. And, like I said, I'm not, none of this, none of this do I want to get in to specifics, because these seasons are still rolling on, and, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. So I'm just going to say, if you were a fan of last season and you haven't started watching this season, it's still just as good. Okay. Even better, I would say. And, so, and that's really all that's going on right now. I don't know when any of these other shows are coming on. Like, I don't know when that Ahsoka show is supposed to come out. I mean, that's going to be it for a while when it comes to stuff on Disney Plus. I mean, I don't know what there is coming out on Marvel as far as like a show at Disney Plus, or another Disney or another Star Wars show on Disney Plus. I know Ahsoka's supposed to be coming out, but I don't know when that is. But hopefully, I think it's this year. Hopefully it's soon, because I'm really looking forward to seeing that. So, well, guys, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. Hey, I'm looking down here at my screen, and we are still recording. My throat is raw right now because, I don't know why I do this. There needs to be some sort of like switch here where I can't screw up, to where as soon as I start talking, it starts recording, regardless if I press the button or not. Or maybe I should just look down and say, hey, maybe I should turn this button on and start recording. It's not that hard. But anyway, we made it through. We got it recorded, I hope. We still have to look at the file, but I think this is a plus. I mean, I'm a big boy now. I can wipe my own ass. I can record my own podcast. So, all right, guys. Well, that went weird for a second. Hey, if it's not a little awkward, if it's not a little weird, and I'm not throwing a little anger at Star Wars, is it really the worst podcast ever episode? Oh, good Lord. All right, I'm going to go to bed here. Even though it's like 5 o'clock, I'm going to bed. I'm done. I've had it. Guys, get out of here. There is better things to do than listen to me rant. Not really. Come back here, listen to all the ones you haven't listened to, and then after that, then go do something else. But until then, until next time, I love all you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Good night and goodbye.